It's about 3 o'clock, so we'll convene the spring semester meeting in University Council. And first, President Kelley will speak to us about some accomplishments the university last year, as well as some promises and challenges. President Kelley.
Well, thank you, Kurt, and thank you for taking some time this afternoon to be with us to update a little bit of our lives with the universities going forward. First of all, let me just say thanks to all of you faculty and staff that have made this academic year so successful for the university. I know how much hard work goes into meeting the mission of this great place, and all of us work hard, and I just wanted to say thank you for achieving a great deal. I'm going to try to highlight a little bit of what this university has achieved during this last academic year, but obviously I can't touch on every success and every achievement of our faculty, our staff, and our students. But I do want to say thanks to everyone, deans, department heads, directors, faculty, everyone who has contributed to this year. As we think about the University of North Dakota, what I'd like to do for just the next 20 minutes or so is to walk through a series of slides with you. Some of these slides will highlight some achievements. Some of them will talk a little bit about some challenges. It'll provide a little bit of insight into some of the immediate challenges and immediate issues, and you'll also see that we have some fairly long-term things to think about together as we take our university from great to exceptional. Also want to say thank you to all of the people yesterday who put on the showcase. If you didn't get a chance to attend that was a gathering of consequence. We exchanged ideas, we exchanged what we'd been doing, we had committee reports. It was an exciting morning, so I just want to thank everyone who spent so much time putting together the posters, organizing the morning. It was an exceptional event. Also want to mention too, because I'll probably forget it as I get caught up in my excitement going forward, if you haven't had a chance, if you're interested, this is one of the most interesting reading matter for those of you who like administration. Now, if you like to begin to try to connect administration with the mission and goals of the university, this is a must. So if you haven't yet gotten a hold of the 2011 financial report for the university, I encourage you to do so. It's online. If you don't take your computer with you to wherever you do your heavy reading, this is available to you. So please take a look at this and digest as much of it as you wish. I'm going to ask Karen Burgard to help me with some slides here. There are a couple of pieces of this presentation that require videos, so I hope you'll bear with me in the event that if anything goes wrong, it's completely my fault. I've been trying to work on my technical skills, and you're going to see some severe limitations this afternoon. I want to talk about, I'm going to move around here just a little bit. I hope my voice will carry. I want to talk about our exceptional university. We've had many opportunities this year to continue to move our mission and uplift all of us. I will remind you again that we are a research high-intensity university. This is a Carnegie classification that we cherish. This defines who we are, and it's one to which a great deal of our effort addresses. In that regard, for example, our research expenditures are up about 18% over 2009. This is a very encouraging number. When you consider the national funding landscape, we've been competing very well. I emphasize this to say, don't slack off. We're doing all right, but we can't sit back and rest on any laurels because that will catch up to us. In about a week and a half, we're going to be shaking hands with almost 2,000 people who are eligible to graduate this spring, 1,700 eligible to graduate. I broke down a few of these just so you will know. About 78 new attorneys for our state, 60 new doctors, 446 of these individuals are graduate students. Kind of interesting that 27 are 40 and older. So There is hope yet for our senior citizens. We're graduating them in significant numbers. Also want to share with you, and I would direct you to Alice Brecky and her staff, we have completed a master planning enterprise for the university. We will be providing access to you for that master plan. This will cover capital construction, traffic, all of the way that we manage the physical facility of our campus going forward. And Alice can answer any significant questions that you have there. A couple of real achievements. Just recently, just within the last few weeks, we were ranked number 3 nationally for service to our students who take our courses and our programs online. We're doing pretty well with online instruction. Also want to mention that going forward, we're going to experience some new leadership in our student body. Logan Fletcher and Eric Watney are going to be taking over. I put a Y on Eric's last name. It's no Y, W-A-T-N-E. We welcome the opportunity of working with a new leadership group, and I have to tell you, Kelley and Nate have just done a beautiful job this past year. We will all miss them, but we look forward to working with Logan and Eric. So what's new? What are the coming attractions that we can anticipate going forward for this coming year? First of all, we have a new chancellor for the North Dakota University system. We met him on campus for the first time last Thursday. Dr. Shervani is coming from the Cal State system. His campus is the Stanislaus campus in Turlock, California. He is an architect and an architectural engineer. And as I rode him around campus on a little glorified golf cart, a gym cart, he was very impressed with our campus. He thought it was a lovely campus, and I kept using the word flagship again and again and again. The coming attraction of the legislative session. I don't know about all of you, but I get kind of excited and juiced up about the coming session. It'll start in January. We will be talking more about that as we get closer and closer. But there will be budgetary implications for the university through the system, capital construction, new buildings. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But the legislative session will be, as it always is, an exciting challenge for the University of North Dakota. Part of what the legislative session will be considering will be new performance funding models, which will condition a portion, not all, but a portion of our state appropriation, which goes into our revenue stream. I've emphasized to you many, many times that if you think very simply, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4 for a pie, approximately a little less than 1/4 comes from our state. So we'll be addressing performance funding. Some of the issues will be retention from semester to semester, from first year to second year, how well we graduate students, what kinds of total numbers we will have, not necessarily packing them in the front end. How well do we get our students educated and graduated in, say, 4 to 5, 6 years? So those are the kinds of considerations that we'll be talking about with our legislature. One thing that I'm kind of excited about, this university, as we try to plan for paying our bills, we look at all kinds of efficiencies. We look at fuel efficiencies. We look at carbon emission efficiencies. We try to figure out how to get the most out of coal, how about most to get out of wind. How do we reduce our carbon emissions? Well, we've been recognized for that. Our physical plant staff, Larry Zitzo and his group, have now received a Princeton Review ranking of the university being one of America's greenest schools. All of our efforts, we'll talk about this a little bit more, beginning to pay off. I want to give a shout out a little bit to the Wellness Center crew, Lori and her group. They have also been nationally recognized. I believe we're 3rd behind UCLA and Stanford. Not a bad company to keep. I'm very pleased anytime we can come out close to Stanford or maybe even on top. That's a little bit of an in-joke. For those of you from Stanford, I apologize. I came from the school just across the bay. Wellness is a very important part for us, and we're doing exceedingly well managing and utilizing our new Wellness Center. I want to talk a little bit about some new campus leadership opportunities, and this is going to be affecting us immediately. So in the next slide, we're going to see that we're going to be searching for a new provost. The Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost for the last several years, Paul Lavelle. Paul has decided that he wants to either return to a faculty or find something else to do. He's told me in a year he wants to step down. I have pounded on Paul. I have told him how upset I am about this decision, but I understand it completely. He has had his arm twisted in every conceivable way by anyone that I can talk to no avail. So we have now appointed a search committee to find a new provost and vice president for academic affairs. Lori Reeser, the vice president for student affairs, and Jim Machorik, chair-elect of the University Senate, professor of history, will be co-chairing this committee. Here are the membership at the moment, the individuals who have agreed to serve. You can see their affiliation. I'll not read it to you, because you can glance at it very quickly, but you can see the department. I know you know most of these people. It's a balance of faculty and staff. Rick Burgum, down on the far right, will be representing the alumni for the state. Shachita Padwar, one of our graduate students, will be on the committee. And I believe Logan will be representing our student body in the search. So this committee will be starting almost immediately. If you have any questions about this, contact Lori or Jim, and they'd be happy to respond to you. We hope to have candidates perhaps identified by mid to late fall, have them brought to campus, and maybe begin the actual recruitment negotiation shortly after Christmas if we're successful. I'd like to spend just a little bit of time talking about the reason that we're here. Our student engagement, our student educational mission, all of the things that our students bring to our campus is an exciting thing for all of us. And I know that's what started us into this enterprise together, and it's the fact that will keep us together going forward. So I want to talk a little bit about some of our students. Here's a picture of our students gathering, again, talking about our exceptional UND initiatives, the things that we do as a university. This last year, we have enjoyed a record enrollment, 14,000, almost 700. 6,041 of those are in-state from North Dakota, and a little over 5,000 from Minnesota. So it's very clear to all of us where our students have their point of origin. South Dakota, Montana, Manitoba, also significant contributors to our student body. We do have representatives of all 50 states, and we also have representatives of more than 50 countries on our campus. Our graduate enrollments are also up about 4%, 2,600 some odd students in our graduate program. These students do very well, and to kind of profile the students that you've been working with all semester, their AC to composite score is about 23.4. The average high school GPA is about 3.26. 172 entering students were presidential scholars. 97% are between 18 and 19 as they enter. About 77% of this year's class will continue, they did continue or will continue on to their sophomore year. So this emphasizes a continued effort on our part to continue to enhance the quality of our institution. Our students are better prepared, our academic programs are stronger and stronger, our retention rates will continue to go up, our graduation rates will be sound. All of this enhances the quality reputation of our university. It is the academic core that concerns us 99% of our time. Here's an index of what it is that we're doing, you are doing, that is successful. If you look at the pass rates for people in programs where you had 100% of the class pass a professional licensure examination on the first attempt. Medicine on steps 2 and 3 in the United States medical licensure examination. First attempt, 100% of our students passed. Chemical and electrical engineering, the National Council of Examiners for Engineering and Surveying, 100% of those students passed on the first go-round. Comm sciences and disorders, first time, 100% pass rate. Same for clinical laboratory sciences and cytotechnology. So this is just a cross-section of the success of the quality of our student body and their performance following their success in our curriculum. I'll just add on a few more. I kind of like this picture. Our UND team claimed first place in the Down Under competition. Now this is kind of cool. This guy here on the bottom picture is Outback Joe, mannequin. Somewhere out in the vast outback of the Australian continent, they plunked this guy down with some kind of receiver. I don't know, Paul can correct me here. But then we send out the UAV programs, and these things are operated from a distance. It's remotely powered, but the task is to find Outback Joe somewhere out by Ayers Rock, I don't know, way out in the outback of Australia. They found him. I think they were about the only team that did. So somehow we are excelling in educating our students in the technologies of remotely powered vehicles. Our law school students took second to the National Criminal Moot Court Competition. Exceptional performance for our law school, our faculty, and our students. We even had some honors coming for our student newspaper. The editorial staff was honored at the Midwest College Journalism Convention. And I think everybody knows and admires our Student Managed Investment Fund. They've beaten the Standard & Poor's now for 3, 4, 5 years in a row, and they have continued to gain national rankings in that area. Now I'm going to try something here, and this is where I need Karen. I want to show you a little video from the students over in our engineering program. We have a lunar rover that these students with their faculty put together, and they took first place in the engineering competition, and I kind of wanted to show you, if everything works, what that lunar rover looks like. The Lunabotics competition.
That's a robot. It's named for our Team Raptor. Stands for the robot for the automated for the procurement and transport of Regolith. Regolith is word
try this again.
That's a robot. It's named for our Team Raptor.
We're not getting a picture of it.
No, we had it was here before.
For the procurement and transport of Regolith. Regolith is word for fancy word for.
Let me try loading it.
Since I didn't have a picture, I was looking around thinking, you know, is that you, Laura?
And 36 teams actually able to compete. Well, 72 teams that signed up. And of those teams, we
Try
actually
loading it
placed
again.
first overall in the competition, which is pretty exciting.
Probably the best compliment, I guess, all the teams got overall was at the banquet dinner. The head of engineering for NASA said, all these designs.
This sort of reminds me of when I still worked in the laboratory, and you know, you'd work for hours and hours and hours on an experiment, and you needed one particular thing to
That's a
go
robot.
right.
It's
Here we go.
for our Team Raptor. Stands for the robot for the automated for the procurement and transport of Regolith.
Regolith is word for fancy word for lunar.
The competition is to get as much lunar Regolith in 15 minutes as possible.
There's, I think, 5 different countries involved. And there's 36 teams actually able to compete. Well, 72 teams that signed up. And of those teams, we actually placed first overall in the competition, which is pretty exciting.
Probably the best compliment, I guess, all the teams got overall was at the banquet dinner. The head of engineering for NASA said, all these designs you guys have, we're going to shamelessly rip you guys off because they're great designs, so thanks for that.
I was able to watch them when they just rolled out the prototype and they were playing with the remotely operated systems. These guys are wizards. I'm delighted they took first place. Just to continue on a little bit with our students, we don't think about this all the time, but if you ask an economist, what is the impact of our student body on our state economy? In the Grand Forks area, we, through our students, generate a little over $100 million in fiscal year 2009. When we last looked at this. Total impact of student spending in the community is about $259 million. If you think of this in terms of business activity, we're generating sales and use tax revenues by having our students on campus, personal income tax collections, new secondary jobs in the community, and you can just see the impact that the university, through our students, have in our community. Now, just as an aside, if those of you whose campus walks don't take you through the new education building, you need to go into the new education building. This picture on the left, walk in and take a look. It's a new and an eye experience. We did a great job in revitalizing that building. This is something that I don't think about very often, but I thought you might be interested in taking a look at this. If you look at the average annual salaries of our graduates, sorted by academic unit and graduation and residence, now there is a great deal that you can read into this, but it is somewhat telling. The colors, overall in blue, North Dakota in green, appropriately, Minnesota and other, and you can begin to divide off the graduates by college, and you begin to get a sense not only of the job market, but where the higher paying jobs are. And to some extent, even though it's not explicitly pointed out here, you begin to get a sense of the marketplace for our students. We worry a lot about jobs for our students as we come out at graduation. We worry about indebtedness because of the high costs of higher education. So this gives you some insights into where you might consider, if you were advising a student, and if they're undecided, where they might gravitate if they don't have specific goals in mind when they come in. Medicine and health sciences, nursing, the health professions, engineering and mines, highly technical, applied sciences. Aerospace science fascinated me here, and I'd like to explore that just a little bit more. Education was not a surprise. Business, a little surprising. Arts and sciences, not so surprising, but I think this is the kind of information that would be useful for us to drill down into a little bit deeper as we try to guide our students through their academic programs. So as we continue to work with our students, we do have some challenges. I mentioned the performance funding modeling. We are going to have a very active conversation with our legislature and legislative committees before the session about performance funding, because it's clear to us that the models for funding higher education in the state will be changing. That change, if it is a decrease, will increase tuition costs. So you can see that our revenues and our expenditures have to be kept in balance. We can't exceed our revenues with our expenditures, at least we can't do it very long. So wise and prudent stewardship of our institution will have to balance some of these challenges. I won't mention any more about the logo issue and controversy. I'll come to a bit more about that in just a second, but I'll mention it here. One of the things that we are thinking about, and as we're looking at this as faculty, open content, the changing environment of the higher ed technology industry. We're seeing some changes in policy coming out of our state board about lecture capture, other uses of technology. We're going to be having lots of conversations about this into the next year. Some of it will be exciting, some of it I think a little frustrating, a little concerning to some of us. So we'll have a shared conversation with our community as we go forward there. I'd like to spend just a little bit of time about athletics. I'm going to try another video here just to segue into another activity for our student life on campus. Athletics, as we recruit our student body, many of those students have athletic ability, and we want to provide them with the highest level of competition that we can for them. So I'll start this segment by a very short athletics video. Incidentally, if you haven't looked on the new homepage of the UND website, the marketing crew has added a wonderful collection of videos that highlights the entire life now of the university. Faculty, students, staff, athletic activities, non-athletic activities. It's just a wonderful pastime for 5 or 10 minutes to help educate you on what's going on at the university.
Welcome to UND Sports. I'm your host, Josh Moore, and yes, the final weekly edition of UND Sports is tonight, but have no fear. We will be coming back monthly as we work towards September and the beginning of the Big Sky era for UND athletics. Appropriate then that we are here at Memorial Stadium, every day home to UND football. Head coach Chris Muskin joins us on the Sports Roundup, and he's got a great story on the defensive line. Jay Nelson goes from walk-on player to impact player for UND football.
My point in showing you this is a tremendous marketing tool for the University of North Dakota. It is an awareness and an outreach for access for students and their families into the university. It's also for many, many alumni. This is the picture window into our university. So it behooves us to use this opportunity to advance the university in every way that we can. Now, we've had a remarkable year, an exceptional year with our athletic program. As you know, our men's hockey team continues its elite status, made it all the way to the NCAA after taking the Broadmoor Trophy for the third year straight. Our women's hockey program, Brian Adolsky and his coaching staff took our women to their very first in history at this institution, NCAA competition. So this was a red letter day in the history of our women's hockey program. These kids have worked very, very hard. We took a co-championship in Great West Conference football. We took championships in Great West Conference for men's and women's basketball. And we also took a conference championship in volleyball. Our students and the coaching staff did very well by the university. We are looking at every possible way to we can enhance the university's brand for our students, for our academics, and for the students' engagement in athletics, because this was a very good year for us. Now, going into the Big Sky Conference, our competition levels are going to go up a bit. It's going to be even more exciting for the fans. I think it will be an even broader marketing opportunity for UND. There is going to be a challenge, though, as we transition into full D1 status. This is our final year. We will, I think, achieve full D1 status in just a few months from the NCAA. This is where I want to share with you the importance of your informing yourself and voting on June 12th. I'm not going to tell you how to vote. I just want you to know that it's your responsibility to learn all of the issues, make a decision, have conversations with your friends, and encourage that everyone vote on June 12th. And we'll leave it at that. We are moving into a Big Sky competition. We're looking forward to that. This will take us up to another level for our students and their athletic competition. Let me segue now into faculty and staff successes. We've also had a very, very good year. The picture that I chose to use is our new cello professor, Simone Barbu. I had the opportunity to hear her perform the other evening, and she's just transcendent. I can wax eloquent about this, but she's a female yo-yo ma. She's just a wonderful cellist, a wonderful individual, brand new faculty member, first year, and has done exceedingly well in helping us continue our performances and our successes in the humanities and performing arts. For the first time this year, we honored all of the individuals who had patents, created new intellectual property, and got that property patented. Here are some of the individuals who were rewarded with some recognition for the intellectual work that they have achieved. We've had a great year. I could go on and on. We could have an entire presentation just on faculty achievements. Our neuroscience, neuro-research grant from the NIH, about $10 million. The COBRE stands for Centers of Biomedical Research Excellence. Here's a picture, I think, of Xiaodong Zhang. He's working out of Devil's Lake doing hydrology and other kinds of lake ecology studies. All of us know about the continued efforts by Pablo de Leon and his group on interplanetary science research. Julie Anderson just got an ACE fellowship for the coming year. She'll be advancing her administrative credentials. Jaakko Hutkinen, pictures of him all over the page with his Antarctic research. Very exciting opportunities. Let me switch into programs as we begin to conclude our thoughts. There are so many things that are going on here. I want to talk a little bit about unmanned systems. So Karen, if we could try one more video here. As we think about the connections, the programmatic connections that we have within the university from department to department, college to college, the kinds of collaboration that we're initiating, that we're enhancing through our exceptional UND enterprise. And then the kinds of cross connections that we get with other universities and other colleges and other institutes. This one is going to show you our unmanned systems. And at the very end, I want to make a point about collaboration here. This, while this is coming up, one of the things that I've been following very closely because of the sort of the political and the executive branch leadership that's required from our state, one of the big issues is where do we fly these things as we train the pilots, and how do we keep them away from other military and commercial aircraft? So the whole issue of airspace management and assignment of airspace has become a huge issue for an excellent program out in the Aerospace College. So as we work on this, if any of you are asked to participate, educate yourself, get yourself fully informed, and then do whatever Al Palmer or Dean Smith or anyone asks you to do, because this in many ways will condition the future of our program. This UAS training facility is one that is going to be involved in research, education, training of individuals who will be responsible for the advancement of our unmanned aircraft industry.
It's really a great occasion to come up here and be part of the opening up of this unmanned aircraft system training facility.
For over half a century, Grand Forks Air Force Base has played a key role in our nation's security. And I believe this partnership is laying the foundation for the training of individuals who will continue to play that role in our future.
Let me just say this about today and this step. This is another step, just one step, but a part of the Red River Valley Research Corridor of world-class, cutting-edge research in a number of areas, and this one is especially important because it's national defense.
Well, again, this gives you some insights into the excitement here. Now, this is what we're partnering with Northland Community and Technical College in trying to find ways to educate and train pilots. We've also got to find ways to educate and train the maintenance individuals who work on keeping these things going, the people who service the technologies, who apply their knowledge and their skills to making these things actually fly. And this, I think, is a perfect example of the kinds of collaboration that we're wanting to foster from institution to institution, partnerships that will bring more than the sum of individual parts to our various programs. We are achieving that. One of our newest academic units is the Department of Petroleum Engineering. Here's Zane Zhang, who is Assistant Professor of Geology and Geological Engineering. He's directing the new Center of Excellence in Petroleum Engineering. This is an extremely exciting opportunity for our Engineering and Mines program, and we'll be finding ways to connect this program with business, with aerospace, with computer sciences, environmental and systems sciences, maybe the ERC. We'll find all kinds of ways to try to form collaboration on these academic programs. This is one that kind of excites me. We're just starting to learn about digital humanities on this campus, and 4 or 5 years ago, we put a little bit of money, it wasn't huge, behind a very, very interdisciplinary group. Art and design, computer science, the music department, they all came together around this new developing field of digital humanities. And not too long ago, they invited me over to sort of work on a prototype game that had music and all of the computer science. This was one of the hardest darn things I've ever tried to do. But very, very exciting. Travis and Joel just really worked me through the paces. But we are, again, through collaboration, coming up with new ideas, new opportunities for our students, and a great deal of success for our faculty. In the ERC, looking at all kinds of energy and environmental activities. Most recently, we had a big opening with Pratt Whitney Rocketdyne. I had to stop and think of the company. We've got a new coal gasification prototype over there, trying to find ways to get more out of individual coal as we transfer it into the gas stage and then use the gas for a variety of fuel opportunities. For our programs here on campus, we're doing very, very well. We do have some opportunities. We will have some challenges. I emphasize again the shifting funding models. We are constantly challenged trying to allocate our resources to build, to start, to strengthen. It's a challenge for the university when we're having to look at so much of our reallocation of resources to try to build continued strength. I know you know that federal earmarks now have completely gone away, so we're having to modify our activity with federal agencies, looking for new ways to direct those funding into our programs here at the university. So when we come down to places, let me quickly go through some of our achievements and some of our dreams here going into the next year. All of you are watching the new Goretzky Alumni Center go up. This is going to be a tremendous asset to the university because our entire admissions program is going into this facility. This will be the gateway into the university. When you've never been here before, a new family coming in, student considering entering the University of North Dakota, this will be the visitor center, the new gateway into the university. Once you have entered the building, you'll have advisors, you'll have enrollment management services, you'll have individuals to meet you and help get you oriented to our campus. It will also be, in addition to the Alpha, maybe this will be the Omega. This is where the alumni will go once you finish your work here at the university. It will provide gathering places. It will provide workspace for many of us on our campus, in addition to the alumni staff. We should break ground fairly soon on the new Information Technologies building for the system. It will go over on the west side of campus, just this side of the interstate highway, kind of in just north of the hotel, the Hilton Garden Inn. It will look maybe something like this rendering. We are prioritizing the renovation and addition to our law school as we go into the session. We will be working with the state board for our law school as a capital construction priority. If you have not been through the new education building, I encourage you to do so. It's open. We've been using it now for several months. It's a beautiful structure. If you haven't been down to Bismarck, this building is actually a little farther along. This is the new family medicine clinic down in Bismarck, part of our School of Medicine and Health Sciences. It's almost finished. We are talking about, in future dreams, a new College of Business building. One possible site for it would be where the current Strindon Center sits, in front of the older college buildings, the behavioral portion of the laboratories for nursing in the back and the nursing school in the far back. We're just kind of thinking about modular functions here, but it indicates something that we're thinking about for the future. Lots of challenges. The law school is a priority for us. There is an accreditation issue. We will be able to address it, but it is something that we want to keep on the front burner. The growth of the medical school, also front burner. We're wanting to make sure that we meet the needs of the state in its health workforce projections. It is our responsibility as the state's only medical school to do that. We do have some aging infrastructure. You're probably wondering why we had to reverse direction on Centennial. Well, the bridge went out. So we couldn't bring traffic either into the core of campus or get it out of the core of campus that way. So we felt that it was better, since there were at least two exits, if we reverse direction coming in on the western entrance of Centennial. But the reason is our bridge. It's about 50 years old and it's starting to deteriorate. We did not want this to become UND's I-35W. So here we are. I'm going to just put something out there that we will have to confront here in a few years. We've got aging infrastructure in our steam plant. We've been using our steam plant as a laboratory. We've got students in there examining how we can get more out of the fuels that we burn in the steam plant. We're looking at efficiencies, engineering and other science efficiencies. But if we have to replace the boilers alone, we're looking at a possible $20 to $30 million bill. So we're starting to think about, what do we do for energy utility across our campus? Keep knitting. It may be important for us to have more blankets. Well, just to conclude here then, there are some real opportunities for us. There are challenges, but there are some very real opportunities. And as we think together, as we work together, as we move the university from great to exceptional, these are things we're going to have to think about. Federal funding is changing. We have lost earmarks. There are certain erosions because of the budgetary crisis that we all know about. If you look at the disappearance of earmarks, that's affecting very much some of the congressional appropriations that have been directed right into the core of our operations here at the university. I just mentioned infrastructure. Deferred maintenance will continue to be an issue for us. We can't avoid the maintenance of the facilities on our campus. We have to keep those facilities up. We will continue to compete within the state for dollars. We've got a big system, 11 institutions, 2 very large competitive institutions on the east side of the state. We will continue to compete for dollars and we are looking for ways that we can partner and get greater efficiencies out of those competitive dollars. We will continue to work with our legislature. All you have to do is to read the newspapers to know that there are some questions being asked about higher education. And we will continue to work with our legislative leadership in addressing those questions. We've talked a little bit about changing funding environments and new models for funding. We will continue to wrestle with the logo controversy. It is not yet over. Our technologies are changing. We have to take at some point, our entire television networking up to high def levels so that we can compete with other universities, partly for athletics. We do have to do something about our research facilities. I won't go into the intricacies of the F&A negotiated rate, but we have got to get more state investment in our laboratories so that that negotiated rate will go up. And then finally, I think recruitment and the retention of our students will continue to challenge us. This will be the core of performance funding for us. I'm going to end here, just want to show you another 45-second video that gives me a great deal of hope. This is the student that received the Minnesota Vikings $10,000 scholarship and is coming to UND. This is our entering freshman class. Young man whose family is excited, he's excited. He is a remarkable young man, and I think you'll enjoy a little bit of this next video as he received this.
UND was practically the only one that I was really interested in. So I was pretty determined to go there, but the scholarship kind of cemented it, I guess. So.
You're the winner?
Yeah. I know, surprising, isn't it?
No, that's good. What kind of grades do you normally get?
A's normally.
No, I hated guys like you. I never did like guys like you. But Jim Klein's on a little bit like.
It was really cool. He's a pretty impressive man. When I found out I was actually at school, and I got pulled out of class to go to the office, and I really had no clue what it was for. And I was put on the phone with someone, and they told me, I was so excited. Oh man, right on the field, that's cool. I mean, I was kind of surprised too. I had no clue at that point that's what it was about. And, you know, to be picked for so many kids, that was surprising but exciting. I went back to school and I was kind of wired when I went back to class. I couldn't really focus. Meeting Jim Klein after the school and got to do business with some really cool people, and it's been a blast. Thanks, Karen. Deserve it.
Sure. Hope you had a good time.
No, I did. I had a blast.
You too, NDSU.
Very proud of Jacob, and I think it's the right choice, especially given the medical program and the things he wants to do. I can't think of a better place.
So I know that you're a cancer survivor.
Yep.
And you do a lot of, helping other people with that.
Yeah.
Why is that important to you?
Well, you know, not everybody's as lucky as I was to be able to have a second chance to live life and get through it. So I think it's important to go through and talk to other people about my story, so they understand that anybody can get through it, and also that there's people there for them.
Well, look for Jacob on campus next fall. He'll be an interesting young man to get to know. With that, let me just conclude by saying that we have an exciting year ahead of us. We've had a remarkable past year. We've had a great number of successes. We've had a few challenges. We will have more going forward. Look forward to next year. Look forward to continuing to work with everyone. I expect the fullest, finest effort out of our community that we can bring to the table, and we will advance our university even more than we did this year. I would be delighted to try to answer any questions you might have. Curtis, if that's okay? Sure. Just a few questions, if you have them. Yeah.
President Kelley, I arrived late because I finished class, so you may have spoken to this, I'm not certain. But my question concerns the maximizing results through efficiencies proposal formulated by North Dakota State Board of Higher Education President Grant Schaff, and apparently passed into policy by the North Dakota State Board of Higher Education. The special concern is the provision whereby, quote, consistent with SBHE established criteria, to be completed is a review of low enrollment programs to be considered for elimination, unquote. What constitutes a low enrollment program? However this is to be understood, is this provision to be implemented without concern for the substantive contribution of a program to the definition of a university, in contrast to a technical institute? For example, would it apply to the Department of Anatomy with 7 majors, as well as the Department of Philosophy and Religion with 26 majors?
I'm going to look at that. Provost and Academic Vice President. Paul, I saw your hand go up.
I think those are absolutely the right questions to answer. Shaft.
Make a change in my
The
presentation.
Shaft initiative was put forward to the board without consultation with various councils. So we are working within the Academic Affairs Council to make sure that that whole idea of with the purpose of considering elimination gets replaced by with the purpose of determining the value that is added by the programs. So what we're doing is using a template that was developed by Greg Weisenstein when he was provost, working with the Council of Deans. I've offered that to the system, and the other provosts are using it, that sets benchmarks for review of programs. So it would be within 3 to 5 years, and this is all to be worked out, within 3 to 5 years, 1 PhD, 3 masters, 5 undergraduates, something like that. That triggers a review. What's important is that the review is qualitative, not quantitative. So we are developing the framework for the Oversight Committee to consider to present to the State Board of Higher Education. And that framework will be mission specific to the different universities. It will focus on what value is added to the university by that program. You mentioned a couple I've used in my testimony on this, the petroleum engineering program. We have geology and geology engineering combined in a department that really is unique. As I sit on stage and watch thousands of people cross, there's probably 10 a year or so who are majors in that. We wouldn't have been able to start the petroleum engineering program without the vitality of geology and geological engineering. And geology provides an awfully lot of the base education that contributes to our essential studies. So you're asking the right questions. We're pushing hard to make sure that those questions drive it.
I should indicate, I used anatomy because it has a few majors, but I realize if it were eliminated, the medical school would lose its accreditation.
Yeah. And we're trying to make the conversation about something more than how many welders are we putting out in Western Washington.
And Don, I suspect you may not know, but anatomy is my academic department.
I didn't realize that.
And the chair is sitting right here. Other questions? That was a good question. Yes.
President Kelley, I have a question where I have a little contradiction in my mind, so I thought I will ask you if you can. If you see the national news, higher education cost is increasing beyond inflation, beyond healthcare cost. I assume it is 10 to 15%. Now, if you ask and talk to a leader of higher education, they will say their cost is about 80% personnel. Now, the personnel are not getting much more raise beyond inflation, which is 3 to 4%. So there is the contradiction in my mind. If 80% is the cost of personnel, 3 to 4% is their raise, then why the cost of higher education is going beyond inflation and beyond healthcare? I
That's a
thought
fair
you may be the person to ask.
That's a very fair question. In my mind, this is a complex equation that has multiple factors, and as one factor change, you may get the inverse of another factor. Lots of factors go into the equation. And in chemistry, we talk about an equilibrium when the arrows are balanced. This is an equilibrium that's shifted in one direction or another, depending upon market factors and depending on a lot of other factors. So let me at least try to start an answer to an extremely fair but complex question. If we focus on UND for just a moment and the economies of the state of North Dakota, we really are doing fairly well because our budget and our revenue appropriations for our revenue streams from the state continue to go up. As a percentage of total budget, that factor is getting just a little smaller each biennium by a percentage point per biennium. So that piece is being squeezed a little bit, and that then puts additional pressure on the next factor in the equation, which is tuition and fees. We don't want tuition and fees to start soaring. Now, if you look at our tuition and fees, $7,900, whatever they are, compared to an elite private or a top-tier public like Colorado, there you're seeing the tuitions just skyrocket, $35,000, $45,000 for tuition alone, not covering fees. That's the result of declining revenues in this other factor of the equation, which we're fairly good at the moment. So those two pieces of our equation are relatively well balanced. It's our goal to try to keep them relatively well balanced. Now comes the next piece of the equation, grants and contracts. So far, we're holding on grants and contracts at this university, but many other universities are not. As a consequence, that squeeze is increasing the tuition and fees, and because the state won't step up and continues to decline, tuition and fees are going up to try to get across the equal sign into the other side of the equation, which is operability. Now let's talk about doing the business on campus. Let's say that we get our tuition to the point where we can't compete in the student market, and our enrollments start declining. The revenues coming in from tuition and fees can decline. We have fewer students in our residence halls, fewer students eating our meals, fewer students buying books at the bookstore. That piece of the equation starts diminishing. Those are the kinds of pieces of the equation that we try to balance. So far, we're doing quite well. If none of these fall off the charts, if we can maintain this equilibrium, the University of North Dakota will do well. Where I worry, we are competing in a national marketplace. When our best faculty start saying, I got a job offer from Institution X, and they're going to pay me $30,000 a year more, and I've got a startup package that will include an additional $100,000 of equipment for my program. Wow. That then, when we want to keep that faculty member, drives up our cost. Now the arrows have shifted. We're no longer in equilibrium. We're trying to hire a new faculty member. There's a difference in market between history, English, sociology, music, medicine, nursing, engineering, aerospace, different markets. How do we balance that relative to our enrollment so we can keep those pieces of the equation and keep those arrows equal? And I can go on now in answering a very good question for quite some time, but I hope that gives you some insights into the pressures that go into this business of the increasing cost of higher education, UND trying to keep it under control. But if any of those factors changes for the negative, we've got a major challenge on our hand because our costs will continue to go up. Great question, very fair question, and one that keeps most of my staff up at night. And that's one of the discussions we will have with our legislature, because we can't afford to see that legislative piece drop rapidly. Really can't afford to see it drop at all. Would love to see that continue to gradually grow so that we reach some kind of a sustainable appropriation from our state. That's obviously the goal. Keep away from the big swings. I hope that's helpful. It's a start. That wasn't even 101 to a graduate question.
Thank you.
One more question, then we'll turn this back over to Professor Stoffel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Kelley. I'm